So now that you've watched the notes on equivalent ratios and ratio tables, we're going to try a few examples. So for this first one, it says find the missing values in each ratio table, then write the equivalent ratios. So they're telling you that for one pen, there's 3 pencils, and then they have some missing numbers. So remember, you're always starting at the original, so in this case, the 1 and the 3, and you have to figure out what you could multiply or divide the original numbers by to get the other numbers. So for this one, in order to get from 1 to 2, they're multiplying by 2. So you're just going to do the same thing to the bottom. So 3 times 2 is 6. So there's my missing number. Then they have this 9, and we need to figure out what this missing number is. You have to go back to the original. How would you get from 3 to 9 by multiplication? You would multiply it by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So there's your ratio table. And then if you wanted to write the equivalent ratios, you would just write all of these as either fractions with the word 2 or with a colon. Okay, so for the next one, it's saying there's 4 dogs for every 6 cats. We want to find the missing numbers. So in order to get from 6 to 12, you're doubling it, so you're multiplying by 2. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. 4 times 2 is 8. Now we go from 4 to 24. So it's always the original that you're going back to. So you don't start at the 8, go back to the original. So 4 times 6 gives me the 24. So I'm going to do 6 times 6, which is 36. So those are my equivalent ratios. They all mean the same amount. You can write them as equivalent ratios. You can write all of them as fractions with the word 2 or with a colon. So I'm going to give you guys one to try. All right, so I'm going to have you pause and try this one. So I want you to actually draw out the ratio table like they have with all the numbers and then figure out the blanks. So you're either multiplying or dividing, but it's always from the original 2 numbers to figure out the missing number. So pause and see if you could give this one a try. This one, I don't know why this is written so tiny, but we'll give it a try. So it says, you are making sugar wafers for your hummingbird feeder. A website indicates to use 4 parts of water for every 1 part of sugar. You use 20 cups of water. How much sugar do you need? So I'm going to start by making my table. This is going to be a horrendous table because I can't draw with this, but that's okay. So we should probably label a little bit. So it says 4 parts of water. So I'm just going to put a W for water just to make it easier. So 4 parts of water for every 1 part of sugar. So 1 part, I'll put an S for sugar. Okay, so that means on this side we want the same label. So I'm going to put a W for water and an S for sugar. It says you use 20 cups of water. How much sugar do you need? So 20 cups of water, since that's using the label of water, I'm going to put it on the top. So 20 cups of water, how much sugar? So same thing, now that we made our ratio table, we're going to solve it just like we did on the other 2 problems. So we have to figure out what times 4 is 20, which is 5. So we're going to multiply the bottom number by 5. The bottom number is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. So if you wanted to have 20 parts of water, you need 5 cups of sugar. So that's how you would do this from making a ratio table. So you want to write the information they give you in a box with labels, then in another box, the same exact labels, figure out where that 3rd number goes based on the label, and then figure out if you're multiplying or dividing to solve it. Okay, so I'm going to give you one of these to try to make the ratio table and solve. Okay, so you're going to pause and see if you could try this one. So it says you are making a juice drink. The directions on the can of juice concentrate indicates to use 6 parts of water for every 1 part of juice. So there's the first part of your box. I would put 6W and 1J. Then you got to figure out where the 24 would go, figure out what you would multiply, and find the missing number. So pause and try that one. Okay, this one's a little bit trickier, so let me show you how to set this one up. So the nutrition facts labels in a box of crackers show that there are 240 milligrams of sodium in every 36 crackers. You eat 15 crackers, how much sodium do you consume? So we're going to start by writing 240. I'm going to put an S for sodium. And then, what's the other part? 36 crackers. So 36, and I'll put a C for crackers. This should be in a box, but I'll try to draw a box. I don't know, my box is horrendous. Okay, so our goal is we want to figure out if you eat 15 crackers, how much sodium do you consume? So this one's harder because there's really nothing we could divide by to get to 15. Usually you're multiplying or dividing to get to the missing number. But if I put a 15 here, there's nothing we could divide 36 by to get 15. So in this case, you would simplify this part as much as you possibly can. So I'm going to start by dividing them both by 4 because I know 4 goes into both of them. So when I do that, I'm going to get 60 over 9. And then I can divide these both by 3. So I'm only doing this because it will make my life easier in the long run because I can't divide 36 to get 15 and I don't want to get a fraction or a decimal for an answer. So 60 divided by 3 is now 20 and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now I just simplified the entire thing so that now I have 20 milligrams of sodium in every 3 crackers. Now the question says you eat 15 crackers. So now I can put the 15 here because 3 goes into 15. So 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to do 20 times 5, which is 100. So that means if you have 15 crackers, that's 100 milligrams of sodium. Okay, so now I could do the next one a lot easier. You eat 21 crackers, how much sodium do you consume? Well, we already have it in simplest form right here, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to rewrite my simplest form from the first part. So 20 milligrams of sodium in 3 crackers. And then it says, how much sodium do you consume for 21 crackers? So I'm going to put the 21 on the bottom next to crackers. 3 times 7 is 21. So I'm going to do 20 times 7, which is 140. So if you have 21 crackers, then you have 140 milligrams of sodium or salt. Okay, so this one's a little bit harder. So they gave you a number that wouldn't divide easily into what we wanted. So I just continued simplifying it until I got it as simplified as I possibly could. And then the number that I got went into what they were looking for. So when I simplified it to 20 over 3, now 3 goes into 15. So I can just do 3 times 5, 20 times 5. And then I got to use that simplified version to do this one as well. So I'm going to give you one to try like this where you have to simplify it first. Okay, so last one. See if you could try this one. So you're starting by writing 450 m over 3 pretzels, or p, whatever you want to put. And then 3 clearly doesn't go into 2. So you want to simplify this as best as you can, and then you can use it to solve these 2 problems. So when you start doing this, you could tell right off the bat, if the number you're trying to get to, the other 2 numbers don't go into or can't multiply to get evenly, then you're going to have to simplify it first. If they can go into it evenly, then you just multiply or divide whatever it takes to get that answer. So pause and try this one. This is your last one.